Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Parish. I'm a solution architect at Blackbaud. Been with Blackbaud for 19 years. Today, we're going for this next session to talk about RE and FE NXT custom reporting homepage. And with me today is Alex Wong, who's the Senior Director of Business Information Systems for the Friends of the Israel Defense Forces. Alex, I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Thank you very much, Scott. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Wong. As Scott has introduced me, I'm the Director of Business Information System at FIDF. And today we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump right in. Hopefully you learn something that will be useful for you in your work, and then we'll go from there. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, all right, so basically, this is just the first slide, no problem there. The BBF day, my name, and a picture of me maybe two decades ago. All right, so what are we trying to solve here? First of all, as you are all probably aware, fundraising has many reporting needs along with like management reporting dashboards and sometimes administration reporting and dashboards. And as you are here in BB Dev Day, that means you are looking to develop. And potentially what you may be developing is a whole lot of Power BI custom reports that RENXT or FENXT is not able to provide you with. And what happens is sometimes you start developing and you encounter a situation where you have a lot of reports, maybe 3, 5, a dozen, maybe 2 dozens. And you don't want sometimes what I see people does is they add their reports into the homepage and in the task tile and then just list them all there. While okay for maybe a few reports, but once you get into the handful, dozens of reports, it becomes a little messy and it doesn't give a whole lot of information to your fundraising users as to which report does what. Sometimes I also people basically just simply put all their Power BI report directly as tile onto the homepage or onto various different places, such as a constituent record or gift record, such things like that, or event record. And again, the big problem with these two approaches, when you have too many reports to show, it becomes too much of a clutter to deal with, and it becomes harder for the user to really get to what they want to get to in terms of reporting. So our objective here today is basically to be able to create some kind of a custom reporting homepage, a tile, a homepage, however you want to call it, that is integrated directly into RENXT or FENXT. And that we're going to explore two options. One is using a much more low-code method, which is through adaptive card. Another method another method we're going to touch on, hopefully we'll touch on a good amount of it, is a slightly higher code method, which is using a full page through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So here's some of the links are here. I know I did not share the slide on this particular session, but when I get a chance later, I'll put it in the chat, these links. But it all goes from developer.blackbaud.com. You'll find all of them there. And let's jump right into it. Okay. So first of all, let's come over to what we are trying to achieve. So let's start with adaptive card. So I'm not here to pave the way for you to do everything from A to Z. So there's some preparation prerequisites, such as setting up your developer account and setting up your developer application, which I'm not going to do here to save some time. However, one thing that you can start doing is start creating what you want to show. So one thing you can do here is, a lot of you already heard about this in this developer conference, is quote-unquote AI. Large language model, there's many names for it, but you are all probably familiar with something called ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is good. for some simple stuff that you want to do in terms of programming. So we're going to utilize that today and go from there. So I have already done this so that I can save some time within the call, because it does take quite a bit of prompts to get to what we want to do. So let me go back to the beginning, where I'm asking it to help me create an adaptive card that shows a center header at the top, a custom report that display a list of report titles, report descriptions, and each of the list item is separated by some line separator. So it gave me something, right? So here, if you go to adaptivecards.io.designer, you're able to see what was built. So we're going to just get rid of the data editor here. We want to put into card payload editor what I just copied. And basically, this is what it looks like. Very basic, right? We have a little top header, custom reports. If you want to brand it in any ways, I have a branding for my own organization. But if you want to brand it in any way, some really weird, nice words that you want to use, go ahead. Your imagination is free to use here. I'm just going to call it custom report at the top here. Obviously, we have our report title, report description, and various things like that. And of course, these are linked that if you click on the preview mode, these are actually links that takes you through the report. So assuming, obviously, these are just fake example.com link, but imagine these are your Power BI report links, right? So you'll be able to say donor report, gift report, dash scoreboard. You click on them, it pops into a new window that has that information. So now, of course, we're going to do a little bit of making it slightly better. So I'm asking it to create 3 lists of 3 items, and each set into a container with an ID. Again, some prompts, I will show you what it looks like so it's easier. So rather than me reading you what I asked the prompt. So basically, I'm going to put that new code in here. So now I have basically these pieces of information. I may have categorizations of different reports. Certain categories of report are considered fundraising. Certain categories of reports are considered management. Some category reports are considered administration, for example. Okay. And right now, if I go back into my preview mode, okay, it's not working the way I asked it to. Basically, what I asked it to do is almost like a tab situation, where I want these to be tabs. When I click on one, I'm only shown those that is considered fundraising reports, and it's not doing exactly that. So after a couple of other prompts, not worry about that one. A few more prompts later, let me see what this one takes me to. Okay, so now I have this. After a few prompts, I'm telling it to, okay, I want my tabs at the top, and then I want the display to be the way that I want it to be. So meaning what? When I click on management, of course, this normally doesn't come up. It's just showing up because of the designer. It will show the management report. Click on administration, show the administration report. Click on fundraising, it shows the fundraising report. This is what I want, right? So we're going to go ahead and use that. Let me see if I prompted to do something different. Nope, this is all I wanted to do up until this point. So I'm going to leave the rest for later. So now that I have this, I may want to do a little more. So I want this to be maybe centered, for example. So I want this little thing here to be horizontal alignment center. So it's like right in the middle. So it looks a little nicer. And my custom report, I want it to be a little font size bigger. Let's say extra large. And maybe a little nice color. Whatever. Right? No big deal. You can make all those slight adjustment later. So basically, you could use ChatGPT to help you create the framework, the structure of what that card wants to look like, and do small adjustment after that. Once you're done, now we have the adaptive card code. What do we do from there? So what you can do here is you can go to your Power Automate. Okay. And then you can go ahead and create a new Power Automate. Blackbaud has a good template that you can go ahead and use. So I'm going to go ahead and search for a template. Actually, go to templates, and then you can search for Blackbaud. And there's one called Create an Adaptive Card Sky Edits. So you can go ahead and choose that one. I'm just going to go ahead and create it. Okay. And this is what you end up with. Now, of course, I will disclaimer a little bit here. Microsoft came out with a new designer for my Power Automate Flow. However, I personally don't like it too much because there are unknown bugs that are still looming inside there that I don't really want to deal with and find out later that it doesn't work. So I, for now, always use the old editors. So you feel free to use new editor, but be careful when you hit an error. It may be because of the new design. So from here, I'm not going to worry too much about this. This has to say anyone who can trigger the flow, anyone. Yes, it seems anonymous. However, we do have a step in place to validate the user identity token so that just anyone hitting the link doesn't necessarily mean they'll be able to do anything using this flow. So it's okay to be that. You'll get the URL later after you save, but let me just call this a test adaptive card home. BI home. Let's call it that, right? So we need our application ID. I'm going to fill that application ID out. Hold on. One of the bad things is I'm doing this on my test environment. I am not sure if I'm in my test environment right now. So hold on. Let me take this over here for a second. And I'm going to go to my, I have way too many windows open. Excuse me for that. Trying to find the right one sometimes is a little difficult. All right, so basically I got to a point where I used the template, it created it, and then I go ahead and put in the information. I'm just gonna, this is something I created prior to the session so that I can skip over a little bit. So if we come back to where the template was, I was putting in the application ID, and then this compose adaptive card basically is the adaptive card code that ChatGPT created. So I'm going to put it in here later. And then basically responds using this adaptive code JSON with these pieces of information. So with that, I add in a couple of different things in here just for normal quote unquote processing. For those that is not aware of what I'm doing here, this has to do with error handling when error happens, which I'm not going to cover in this particular session here. But basically, we're seeing the same thing, right? We have the compose action. We have the identity. So this one should be here. Sorry. We validate the identity token. If there's an error, it will fail out. Not going to do anything. And then we have the situation with the adaptive card, which I'm going to, again, just take this card code, copies it, and then just replace everything in here. That will be our adaptive card. Okay. Now, I have a publicly available Power BI that I'm going to just pop in here so you can see how it works. So for one of the links, which is example.com, instead of that, I'm going to put a Power BI in here. So this is the first one. So I'm going to do that. And what ultimately then happens, as you saw, was a response back with this. And we'll just save that. Now, once this is done, you have to connect this to your Sky API application. In developer.com, developer.blackbaud.com application. And that is done through going into your developer account. So let me just go there. Hopefully I'm not going to show anything crazy here. Let me just take it off the screen for a second. So in the developer application, right, okay. Developer application, I have my test application for my test environment. And within here, okay, so this should be good. So within here, I have my various different add-ins. So one of the add-in we put in here is test adaptive card. So going to developer.blackbaud.com will give you the information in the links that I will share later on the chat that tells you how can you create your URL. So basically, when you try to put in an add-in, I'm saying that, hey, I want it to be put on the homepage tile, and this is this is an adaptive card that I'm trying to display as a tile, and the URL is this, which needs to be URL encoded, which is pretty simple. Basically, once you have your once you save your flow, you get this HTTP post URL that you can copy. And what you want to do is just go to Google and say URL encoder. You can choose any one of those, doesn't matter. And then paste it in here, do an encoding, and this is what you want to put as the card surface URL. So tile card surface URL equals 2, and that's the encoded URL of the flow that will get triggered. And then this is the part, and then you can add in a little title that say, I'm not going to save this, title that say this is a test adaptive card. Okay, so once you have that, you can go into your, let me go into my NXT. Let me make sure I put it down here first before. Okay, great. So the adaptive card that we created, as you saw here, how it works, which is like this, you can now see that is showing up as a tile on your homepage of Razor's Edge NXT. And this is basically what we did, right? So if you click on management, the management links comes in, and you have some description of whatever that report you put in there, administration, fundraising. And then this one's the one that I actually put in the link, actual Power BI link. So if you click on it, it just opens up a new window, a new tab, whatever you want to call it. And the Power BI is displayed. You can, the user can use it, and that's about it. And it's going to be the same for each one of these. So this is one way to easily, hopefully pretty low code, because a lot of it is done either through ChatGPT or through an interface in the designer of a adaptive card. And then all you need to do is use the template, pop in the code, and configure the application to show up. So hopefully simple enough, and then we can go from there. Now, anything more complex we'll have to do without not using adaptive card. So what do I mean by more complex? So basically what you can also do is slightly related to now Sky UX. So it's actually slightly towards the higher code mode where you are actually using HTML, CSS, and JS. Now, what I'm going to show here is actually not like Sky UX, which use Angular library, which is a whole nother level of high code situation. So what I go back to, what I can do here is, remember ChatGPT where it created this whole look for me? All I tell it to do is go ahead and, hey, create the same using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And it go ahead and created it. So now I'm going to copy this code and show you what this looks like in HTML, CSS, JS. So you can use a lot of different tools. I like to go to W3 School, which is a good one, where you could put in the code and it shows you what it looks like. So pretty simple. So again, got the same functionality like the adaptive card is. Okay, but when you click on the link, you just go ahead and pop that link open. Nothing different. So now is where we want to make it a little bit more fancy, so to speak. Right. So again, going back to ChatGPT, it requires a little bit of knowledge as to what could be possibly done with these HTML coding. But next I'm asking it to do is update the code such that there's a common iframe area that is that takes the full width having 16:9 aspect ratio, which we all know this is HD, and that's how Power BI is coded usually, 16:9. And that the list item, when clicked on, the URL is loaded into the iframe. So I'm going to copy this code and show you what this looks like. So now ChatGPT is as smart and dumb as it is. It went ahead and put the iframe right in the middle here. And all my stuff is popped down, and not exactly how I would like it. But let's show you what this is first, right? Oh, one thing is it's not going to have a problem. You can also, okay, by the way, this is where some troubleshooting happens in the same time. So you get this situation. It's not loading anything. And if you actually check out, again, this is slightly more high code now, right? If you check out the browser situation, it tells you that it's not able to load. Let me click on it again so you can see the error message. It's going to tell you that it's not able to load a HTTP link onto an HTTPS parent, so to speak. So I know what I can do here. Go back to ChatGPT and tell him, hey, you did some mistake for me here. Change the link to HTTPS link, just random link. Again, when you put in Power BI link, it's going to be HTTPS. But for now, for demo purposes, I'm just using this. And then I gave it a little more technical detail as to how I want their JavaScript to work, but you don't really have to worry about that. And once that's done, I also tell it to, hey, put the iframe at the bottom of the page, end of the page. I don't want it to be like right in the middle. So now I'm going to just copy this code so you can take a look at what that looks like. Hold on. Did I copy it? Okay. So now we get this. And again, same functionality in terms of like the tabbed functionality, if you want to call it that. And then if we go into the report, of course, this is not the report because I did not put in the actual URL of a Power BI report. It's actually loading that page. But you know what? Let me show you what it looks like if I actually put in a real report link. Let me go to the fundraising report 1 and change the link to a real Power BI report, for example. So now if I were to click on this, it's going to load the Power BI reports right underneath it. And this is the report. And it's also, by the way, mobile friendly. It's going to adjust its size accordingly because I told it to do a 100% width and 16:9 aspect ratio. So it's going to do that directly for me. And if I have my report 2, report 3 also put in, it'll go ahead and load that. You know what? Let me just at least put in one more so you can see what that experience looks like. So this is from using report 1, which is Nevada population. This is report 2, which is, I forgot what it is. Let's see what it loads. The Chicago COVID summary, right? So this will be the same thing. You have multiple report, donor report, gift reports, dashboards for donor categories, mailing list, email list. You'll have them all here. Click on them with a description so users know what to do. They click on it, the report shows directly at the bottom of the page. Now, it's 3:24. I should have enough time. So the next thing we need to worry, now that we have just like what we did with the adaptive card, right? We first start out creating the adaptive card, the way we like it to look. We have the code needed for the way it needs to look. Then we configure taking that and putting it into RENXT or FENXT. Right, we can do this the same thing and put it into FENXT homepage if you have financial report and things like that you want to categorize and put there as well. Okay, so same thing here. We have created the HTML, CSS, JavaScript code, which is this whole thing, and it is doing what we like it to do. Now you can do more. You can continue to tell ChatGPT to do more things like, oh, okay, I want to do a little search. There'll be a search bar that search for like I want to search for donor, and it will only filter on all the report that's related to donor. So it's not gonna give you like information about well, everything is donor, so I can't really say that. Let's say category. You search for category and it gives you only report that is relating to category. It's not going to give you like an e-blast list or a mailing list, things like that. So you can do all of that. You can again try to use ChatGPT, use a tool such as W3 Schools, put in the code, see it if it's working the way you want it to, and call it a day. Once you're done fixing that up, you have this code. Now, the next thing you need to worry about is how am I, again, this is a lot bigger. So it doesn't make sense to try to fit it into a small tile. So what we want to do now is to create a full page spa, single page application. And to do that, first of all, we need to go ahead and create a full page add-in, if you want to call it that. So let's go to our add-ins. Let me find my add-ins. There it is. So first of all, we need to, before we actually go to the add-in, apology, just like how did we serve the adaptive card to the add-in is we have to first create a flow that listen to a certain URL and then return the response, which is the adaptive card. We need to basically do the same thing with the page. We need to, however, there is no template for this, unfortunately. So what you need to do here is you need to go ahead and create a new flow. Just distance follow, and you will be looking for the HTTP trigger. Oh, this is the name. I don't think I can find it here directly, so I'm just going to skip. And again, I don't want the new designer, and I'm going to call. I want this to be triggered by HTTP. Okay, and when an HTTP request is received, similar to what we did with the adaptive card, right? Again, any user, anyone actually needs to be able to access this. And then I'm going to call this the test full page HTML home. Okay, so in order to save, you have to have an action. So I'm going to have an action to begin with. And I'm going to copy one of my actions. Okay, you know what? Let's not complicate this any more than needed. So I'm just going to do a condition action and just be able to save this for now. Once it is saved, hopefully soon, we now have the URL. Again, we need to take this URL. This time, we actually don't need to encode it. So it's actually, in order to do what we are about to do here, we actually have to create two add-ins. One add-in is the page that will show the HTML, and another add-in that will like tie it into RENXT. So first of all, what we wanted to do here is we want to be able to create. Wait, did I get the correct? Yes, there it is. So we want to, let me put this up here. There we go. So we want to create an add-in, and I'm going to call this, say, custom report. Okay, let's call this custom report. And in this case, the name do need to be a little careful. I remember I cannot use space or any special character other than the dash. So I'm going to do that. And basically, the actual URL is going to be the full URL that we copy from the flow. Once we have that, this is going to be a extension point that we're going to do is going to be a page extension. So which is under, where can I, do I see it? No, navigation. Yep, there it is. Under navigation, we have the page, which is a full page of content to add into RENXT or FBNXT. So this is the selection. We give it a name. We can go ahead and save that. And we have this here now, but it's not in RENXT yet, right? It hasn't been created as an RENXT yet. It's just created as a full page. What we need to do is to invoke this page to by something. So one of the something is you can invoke this page by adding it to the home page. Under task, you can say custom report, for example, custom report portal, for example. So we need to add a home page action. So we're coming back to our add-ins. We need to do another add-ins. And here this is just the name, which actually doesn't matter that much now. So we're going to call it custom report portal. Okay, here the add-ins will require a little special configuration. Again, developer.blackbaud.com has all this information. So hopefully it does require a little bit of reading, but hopefully my demo here helps you guide you through the steps needed here. So basically what we need to do is we need to create a homepage item. So we are connecting to what? The development office homepage as a action. So which will go under the task tile, right? We're calling it this. And then what we need to do here is we need to reference the, let me just get that information here. Okay, so we need to use what? This is the add-in page host. So this is the host to display the whole page button. And that we put in the app ID, which actually is our, which is the application ID of the application you created in developer.blackbaud.com. So here I don't, right in here. So I'm going to have to duplicate this so I can get the application ID. Yeah, I think it's okay. I just put it. So we have the application ID referencing that this is the application that hosts the page that we just put in. Remember, we put in the first add-in, and then we want to reference the page name. So, and page name is the name that we gave it initially. What do we call it? We call it custom report, I believe, custom dash reports, right? And then we can give it a title, which is custom. This needs to be URL encoded, so %20 represent a space. So custom report portal, for example. And then finally, we need to say that, hey, is it connected to RENXT or FENXT? Even though here we're saying pretty much it's RE, but what this, if we get to it, I'll mention why. But surface ID is going to be RENXT. So surface ID could be FENXT, but we're doing RENXT right now. So once you have that saved, great. So now what's going to happen is we have, coming back to here, we're going to reload this test environment homepage. Now you see a custom report portal, which is what we created. If you click on this, it's going to display a whole page. Now, the page is empty. Why is the page empty? Because we didn't put in the code to return this. We haven't done that yet, right? Remember our flow is not returning anything. It's just trigger and nothing. It's not doing anything. Okay, so that's why we have right now a blank page. But what we need to do then is basically take this and return it here. It's not that simple. So there's still a two-step process here in order to do that. And it's now 3:34. I may be underestimating amount of time needed for this part. Let me see how I can do this. You know what? I'm gonna have to. Let me see how much I can push through. Let me do that. Okay. So basically, in our flow here, again, anyone can access this flow. Okay. Anyone can access this flow. I'm going to bring this over here. I'm not gonna to save time. I'm not actually editing this part. So I'll show you what everything looks like, and then we'll go from there. So this is the same thing. This is actually my production custom reporting platform homepage, full page. I branded FIDF.net NXT. So this is the brand I gave to my custom reporting platform. Like I said, you can brand it however you want to brand it. And so that your people know that this is the custom reporting platform. So coming back in here, again, we're doing the same thing, right? Anyone can access the link, and this is the link, and we put it into the Sky Edits. Okay, And basically, we are going into a condition. Again, this action you don't need to worry about. This is for me to do error handling. Again, I'm not going to touch on error handling here. I have previously done session on error handling, which if you're interested in community, you'll find a lot of that information, Blackbaud community. So I'm not going to get into it. So here, what we're doing is we checking if a UIT stands for user identity token. So a user identity token is not given to anyone that is accessing the link. It has to be done a very specific manner. And that part is in the Blackbaud developer.blackbaud.com link, and it talks about what code needs to be put in there. I think what I'm going to run out of time here is I'll probably post on the community as to the full thing, including the rest of setting things up. But I just want to show you what you can accomplish here, right? So we need to put in some code that is specifically related to a Blackbaud Sky adding client, and then passing in the UIT, the user identity token, various things. Right now, again, I'm kind of skipping now. I promise you I'll put in something on the community about this. So what's going to happen is once we load in the identity token and finally have the identity token, it goes into the node path. We are now able to actually load in the actual homepage, which has all that HTML code that we asked ChatGPT to create for us, which is similar to this. So here in the last 3 minutes, I'm going to show you what this would look like. Okay, so this is my production. And you can see here that, again, I branded FIDF.net NXT, just like how I created the custom report portal. When you click on it, it's going to display, one second, to make sure it doesn't show any PII. Good. It doesn't. All right. So it's going to load the full page. I don't have exactly the same design as what we did with ChatGPT, but basically you're able to create this whole page with the catalog of various different reports. I also put in some icons, the title of the report, some description of the report. I also have a search that I can do, and it shows me how many reports are there and things like that. And when I do click on them, I'm not going to. When I click on them, it's going to pop at the bottom, the actual report, and it's going to collapse the menu so that we have the full screen of space for the report. So this would be a full page catalog of all your Power BI and potentially other things you want to put in there too. The limit is not just Power BI. It could be a lot of different things that can be put in front of you using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So with that, I want to close and see if there's any questions. So let me come back to here. Going to unshare.
Hey, Alex, if you take a look at the Q&A, there's quite a few questions here for you.
Okay, sure. Let me go to Q&A. Thing is, where is the Q&A?
It's over on your left menu bar.
I see it. Okay, I see it now. Okay. Haley. Oh, this is probably the last question. I should probably start from the beginning. Okay, can you set security access level by each category? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't say your name, Darlene. It all depends on how you code your the flow that display the information, right? Because the very first step in any of your flow, let me go back to the flow that is the adaptive card for a second. Right, the adaptive card is going to display the information to the tile that we saw before, and this here is all configurable. Meaning, the very first step we did was user identification. So, meaning after this step, we know who is the user. So it could be your fundraising officer, or it could be your finance person. And if you want to say certain report is available only to certain people, you can do the work here and condition on what information is being displayed in the adaptive card. Same thing with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript as well. You don't have to display all the the fundraising tab, the management tab, and the administration tab. Maybe you only display the fundraising tab to the fundraiser. Maybe you display fundraising tab and management tab to your fundraiser and your executive. And maybe you display everything to like your, I don't know, CEO, COO, things like that. So yes, definitely something you can configure, and you can put all that information somewhere, such as a SharePoint list, for example, that designate who gets to see what. But in your flow, you'll take that into consideration when you build out the display of the information, which is the adaptive card. How do you code the different Power BI report to be put into 3 different buckets? I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly, but basically, like it's you, right? So here, let's say you have 10 reports that you build. You have to categorize, right? Maybe you build 5 reports that is fundraising related, and then you build 3 reports that's for management and 2 reports that is for administration. Then that's what you put in the where is it here. Okay, this is the fundraising tab. If we go back to here, right, fundraising, you can go ahead and change this information and say, okay, this is my donor report and the link to it, and this you can have the description that say donor report for showing donor information. Forget my type, but don't worry about my typing now. So you get to decide what you put out under which tab. That's totally up to you. What resource did you use to learn all of this? Developer.blackbaud.com community are 2 great places for it. User group is another great place. It does help that I came from an engineering background, so I kind of have an idea of what is possible, and then from that possibility, I dive deeper as to what Blackbaud allows that possibility to be. But yes, the developer.blackbaud.com community and Power BI and Power Automate user group will help you there. If you have an idea, of course, if you have an idea, innovation grant, submit that, and maybe someone, if you win, you can have someone work with you, or you can always put the idea in community, and we can tell you if those ideas can be achieved, how, and things like that. So community will be a great place for that. Would it be possible to do something similar on the work center page and put that in? Okay, so from what I remember, you cannot add new tiles on the work center page. So I don't think so, but hopefully one day the Blackbaud will allow it. But otherwise, whatever they allow, we put in is where we can put it in, and this is where you can find out where when you create a new add-in, this is where you can extend, right? This is what you can do. There is currently no there's currently no work center that you can put stuff into. So unfortunately, no, but you can put custom stuff in many of these locations. Let me see if I can answer more questions. Need to start with baby steps. Are the links on the first slide able to get us going to from the very beginning? Yes, the links will help you, but it does require a little diligence. You have to read through information, getting started, and then you will get there eventually. But again, use community, come to user group. That will be very helpful. When making add-in, does it make sense to create new application for each add-in? Well, yes, you have to create. Well, okay, you don't have to create new application for each new add-ins. It depends on the scope of the application. So the scope determines if you can rewrite to the data, if you can only read to the data, write to the data, and depending on that and what your add-in is doing, then you may want to create different add-ins for different application for different add-ins. But that is a business decision you have to kind of make and determine. I don't know if I can get through all of them. It's 3:45. What do you want me to do, Scott?
Alex, if you could spare a little more time, there's a lot of questions in here, and there's still a lot of folks in the room. So if you can spare time, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, sure. I'll try to get as much as I can, and then Scott, you can let me know when you want me to stop.
Okay.
Is there a way to add to the page? Is there a way to add the page to the black menu bar at the top instead of SN? No, not that I know of. You cannot add to the global menu at the top if that's what you're talking about. This part up here, you cannot change. Not for us. Let me see. Come back to here. Okay. Could it be set up as a whole new tab across? No, that's the same question. That'll be no. Can you create a community post that answer all the questions asked? Austin, I will try to do that if I can get all the questions, but I'll try to get through all the questions. I think I have only 3 more. So if we have SSO on for NXT and our organization, would the report require a login? So I'm going to assume what you mean by login is what you see in the here. Let me see if I can take you back to that place. Okay, here. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about, which is this sign in button. Unfortunately, even though you may have already signed in through SSO, Microsoft will still make you click on sign in. You won't need to actually like type in your username and password. If you already signed in through Blackbaud, you won't. But when you still need to click on sign in, and it will still occasionally sign you out where you have to click on sign in again. So unfortunately, that's just how Microsoft Power does the authentication here. Each staff viewer has to have yes. In order to see Power BI license, in order to see any Power BI, you will need to have the Power BI Pro license in order to see that. That's unfortunately going to be the case here. How can we get the link for the grants application? I missed the link before. Sorry, I'm not understanding this question. Grants application. Sorry, no, not ringing a bell as to what you mean by grants application. Oh, the innovation grant. Scott, could you provide that innovation grant link to the people here? And actually, I did promise that I will provide the link. So give me 1 second so I can put it in here.
I'll drop it in the chat here, Alex. Thank you.
Okay. So this is one of the links for the adoptive card. And here's 2 links for creating add-ins and the full page add-in. Okay, those are the links that's on the slide. But again, everything is through, even this blackbaud.com link is accessible directly from the developer.blackbaud.com. So go to developer.blackbaud.com. You will need to create a developer account and application in order to make use of any of this. So this is one place you want to bookmark and also be spending quite a bit of time in. Okay, I think I got through all those questions. Thank you very much for your interest here.
Wonderful, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing so much. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Take care. Bye.